Good. And we're going to call to order the Borough of Marsville Borough Council meeting for Tuesday, November 30th. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You're on.
Prior to this evening's meeting, the Morrisville Borough Council held an executive session to talk about two items. First, there was a personnel matter involving police discipline. And second, there was discussion of a litigation action filed with regards to Williamson Park.
Thank you. Can we have a roll call, please?
Here.
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 Mr. Paul, here. Mr. Robbins. Here. Mr. Lott.
Here.
Mr. Yeager.
Here.
All right, thank you. Sorry.
Yes.
All right. Announcements. Need to make a motion to amend the agenda and add a motion to discipline a police officer. This will be item 8L. It's a motion to suspend Officer Aspamani without pay for a period of 5 12-hour shifts to be administered by the Chief of Police on or before February 28th, 2022. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
For the first one, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
for the
it's-
first one.
Yeah.
Second.
Discussion?
Nancy.
Hearing no discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. All right, so that motion at the end will be item 8L. All right, moving on to public comment.
Mr. Parker, I'm
yes.
sorry, you mean 8M will be added at the end? The second motion will be added at the end, correct?
It's 8L. The motion is that we made the motion to amend the agenda. So
To add item 8L,
to
which
add
was the
item
second
8L.
motion.
Okay. I was under the impression there were two separate motions.
I read the motion so that the public was aware of the motion being added. Right.
Okay.
So that was 8L, and then it'll be 8L at the end.
Can't be two.
No.
It will be 8M at the end, right? The second motion will be 8. I get it, but it's two motions. The public needs to know
We
it's two
added a
motions.
motion, so there would be
Made a motion.
8L.
which was the first one to amend the agenda.
Correct.
8L will be the motion to suspend. Correct.
Okay.
Mr. President,
Yes.
may I make a comment real quick, just for the public's knowledge?
Go ahead, sir.
This is the first time we've added something to the agenda since the sunshine laws were changed a couple of months ago. So that's why we're having a little confusion. So please bear with us. We're just trying, the intent is to notify the public that we're going to add an item. That's what the first vote that we just did. Next, there'll be another item added at the end of the list.
Thank you. All right, first person is Molly Rafferty. Name and address, and then you have 3 minutes.
Molly Rafferty, 123 Delaware Avenue. This attempt at ending the legacy of roosters in Morrisville Borough, aka Bird Town, shows a serious lack of both compassion and understanding. Did you know that the decibel level of barking dogs, vehicles, lawnmowers, and power tools are all equal to or greater than a rooster's crow? Did you know that roosters are the most cruelly treated sex of the most cruelly treated species? Prohibiting roosters essentially makes you responsible for all the soon-to-be deaths and abandonments. And if you think they could easily be rehomed, you are really out of touch. I urge council to sit back, take a deep breath, and look at this realistically. You're hung up on something and you don't even know why anymore. Supposedly the Hatfields no longer have roosters. How would you feel if you were being forced to get rid of your dogs or your cats? It's really no different, and if you can't see the comparison, you don't know enough about chickens and therefore you have no place to vote on the matter. Put yourself in the shoes of the young girl who runs home after school to play with her rooster. She'll be devastated. Her parents don't know what they're going to do. 2 weeks ago, I supplied you with a copy of all the official rooster-related complaints, which confirmed that all complaints were from the same person in regards to her one neighbor's flock. Also, you were given a copy of a Facebook post sufficiently showing that Morrisville loves roosters. Complainers complain. I'm telling you, if it's not the rooster, it'll be the dog, the tall grass, the fireworks, the traffic. In late August, code enforcement said he drives by daily and hadn't heard roosters in about a week, and that the cicadas were louder than anything else on the property. Pot-bellied pigs were grandfathered in. Was that a land use or general legislation? Zero compassion. You just want them gone. No negotiating, no ordinance meeting. It's a your way or the highway attitude. How is a borough going to defend viable lawsuits? Contrary to obnoxious spending, there's no money tree behind Borough Hall. A dog with a greater decibel level than a rooster is A-OK, but that darn rooster calls for emotion? Imagine if Councilwoman Sherlock had used all the time and energy she's put into ridding roosters into something beneficial to our community. Someone must have told her the squeaky wheel gets the grease. Don't fall into the trap. It's all smoke and mirrors. Morrisville has no rooster problem. You turned a non-issue into an issue. Is it possible that regulating roosters is just an expensive distraction?
3 minutes.
The park, the EIT, reducing the police department, don't
3
let the
minutes.
left hand know what the right hand is doing.
3
except
minutes.
this.
I have a very long list, 3 minutes. Noel Sperry?
It's favoritism, frivolousness, ignorance, and is justified by nothing at the expense of innocent animals. Thank you.
Bear with me 1 second. I actually have to put on a hat here. So, Noel Sperry, 531 Prospect Avenue, Morrisville, Pennsylvania. On behalf of the Morrisville Business Association, I would like to thank all the volunteers that came out to help decorate the Robert Morris Plaza last Saturday. And a special thanks goes to the Boy Scouts of America Troop 3 Morrisville for delivering the tree for us. I have it on good word that there are a limited number of trees this year due to supply issues. So if you don't have your tree, go get one soon. The second thing is on December 5th from 5 to 8 p.m., Imagine Morrisville and the Cotswold Group, Morrisville Plaza Association, are presenting a very Morrisville Christmas. You're all welcome to come. Everybody's invited. It's from 5 to 8 p.m. in the Morrisville Shopping Center courtyard. There will be entertainment, 5 p.m. tree lighting, singing and dance by the downstage center studio. Santa's going to arrive by fire truck. Courtney's Carolers will be singing. And Jim Slagle is going to be singing Bing Crosby holiday favorites. So come on out. There will be a gift basket raffle drawing at 7:45, and the whole time there will be a holiday face painting. There will be free pictures with Santa, so kids can come out and have pictures with Santa. There will be a Treats for Troops collection at Design for Vision. There'll also be little cards for kids to color in and write a little note to the troops. So there'll be a table there. Like I said, there'll be a gift basket raffle, and there'll be refreshments, hot chocolate, cookies, hot cider, and then all the stores will be open late that evening. So thank you. Come on down.
Can you just repeat the date for the public?
Oh, yeah, definitely. It's Sunday, December 5th from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sam Jalad. Name and address, and then you have 3 minutes.
Sam Jalad, 45 Ridge Ave. First of all, my condolences to Mike. Sorry for the loss. I'm here today to make a statement about the future of Morrisville and what it means to live here. The state of Morrisville is not unique to us. The distress Morrisville is experiencing is something many American towns have also experienced. I lived in places with many challenges, such as Detroit and Lodi, New Jersey. Morrisville has been and continues to be a missed opportunity, and it does not have to be that way. What Morrisville desperately needs is a vision of what kind of town it wants to be. What do we want to be known for? Ask yourselves. For example, right now, we have 9 smoke shops within a mile radius of each other, excluding 7-Elevens, gas stations, and convenience stores, which also sell cigarettes. Is this what we want to be known for? This is not representative of the people and the community we live in. The town is distressed. We need that. We need to change that. Morrisville has underutilized advantages. For example, its prime location as a connection point between 2 states and its location on the river. We need to make Morrisville a destination and not a pass-through town. A destination to live, to go to good schools, and to have an overall high quality of life. Not 9 smoke shops within a mile. That's not a high quality of life. Without a vision, we can't achieve that. While any major development is welcomed, it would be short-sighted without a vision and a plan that addresses all of the issues within the town. A clear vision is essential for successful development and prosperity of our town. I urge you to take the following steps. 1, establish a clear vision, a plan. This can be done by town hall meetings, surveys, and polls. 2, establish a qualified committee to seek and invite other developers and investors to come up with different ideas for development for the town. 3, establish a study for making Morrisville a destination, literally a destination on the new New Jersey Transit and Northeast Corridor train line. Doing so will open up opportunities to
3
develop.
minutes.
I'm almost done. I have 2 more. To develop around the train stop similar to other towns on the northeast line, such as Brunswick, Harrison, etc. There are developments that's happening right now within the line.
All right, 3 minutes, sir. I cut somebody else off because we have a long list tonight.
Okay, most importantly is to work together
Glenn Owens,
and to support our borough manager and I'm happy to discuss any further.
sorry, we have a very long list and we have a pretty big agenda for tonight.
Hello, Glenn Owens, 37 East Hendrickson. I thought it was only 2 minutes, so I should be done in plenty of time. This is just my viewpoints. This is no kind of factual stuff going on, just my feelings. We came to Marsville on 92, rented on Althea, decided to buy 94 on Hendrickson, been there ever since. I've always appreciated Williamson Park, which is basically the only multi-use park we have in the borough. I've enjoyed going to the fairs. My band played there. I've planted trees there. I've participated in cleanups. I enjoy just stopping by, riding my bike down, watching Little League games in the summer. One morning I was riding my bike around. There was a young couple at the pavilion folding up their tent. Obviously, the ordinance, you shouldn't be camping there. But I stopped to talk to them, lovely couple, and here they were on their way. They had started in Miami, Florida, and were going to Portland, Maine. They said that it seemed just a nice little town. We talked history and stuff. It was just really nice. So over the years, I've really enjoyed the park since we've been here. I'd like somebody to prove to me how this is going to help me, whether it be taxes or whatever, because I don't see where it's going to. I'd like somebody to tell me how this will improve the quality of my life developing this spot, because those instances in my enjoyment of that park is what improves my quality of life. This so-called development, I see it also as a big strain on the infrastructure. I mean, we have so much problems now trying to control what's going on. We have 2 buildings we have the Stockham building and across the street, the bank sitting there vacated. I'm at a loss sometimes. And also, as boroughs, townships, and counties keep opening up open space, they keep preserving space, I'm puzzled by the fact that we're going to take away our open space. I just don't get it. I find it almost brazen to the point that land that has been bequeathed to the borough as a park, you're going to develop it. And the last thing is, once green goes away, it ain't coming back. That's all.
Thank you. Glenn Owens? I'm sorry?
That was just Glenn.
Oh, I'm sorry. Laura, go. Name and address, and then you have 3 minutes.
Okay, and I also brought this tax parcel because I wanted to refer to it. And you'll note on there that I wrote mistake in one place because I'm not sure whether it's a mistake or not.
All right, I need your name and address for the record.
Laura Go, 78 Central Avenue, Morrisville. And I'm obviously talking about the park and the changes that it may be undergoing. So let me do this too. Help. How's this? Okay, good. Okay. This. So what I'm interested in saying, and you've heard me before, I've been here a couple times talking about these things, is that I'm deeply concerned about what it's going to do to all of the houses that are in this area. And it looks like on the map that I see, it's in the map 7 tax parcel map that there are some houses that are going to be included in the redevelopment area and some further down. And I want to know, is that true? Are you going to be removing houses from the area, specifically from the area of Central Avenue and Park Avenue? So can anybody answer that for me? Please? Do we know? Okay,
Mr. Parkes?
because I'm worried about it. And
Just
I'm
the-
worried about
just
the
the-
map.
I was just going to comment that the only ones I know about.
No, first of all, you're messing up my timing of the thing.
I'm
Okay.
sorry.
No, you didn't. I did.
Go ahead, ma'am.
There's no house is going to be removed. Is that the case? Because that's not what it looks like when I look at the Borough of Morrisville Certified Redevelopment Area closely. It looks to me like there are houses that are in the area that will be removed, specifically the ones along Central Avenue on the park side. So, you see in there that I wrote mistake, and I don't know if that's a mistake or not. If it's not, are there houses going to be removed? That's what I really want to know. And I've already talked about other things that I've been concerned about, like the fact that the river ran through that area for many years and only recently has been filled in with trash and rubble. So we don't know how stable it is, and the people who are supposedly doing all the surveying and so on never drilled into that to see what was there. So we don't know what's there. So you may take away all the houses, and you may build something there, and it may turn out to be a big pile of mud in the end. I don't know. So I don't think that I have any more to say that can be of use. I would just like to get an answer to my question at some point, so maybe another time when I come back, we'll have an answer. Thank you.
Thank you. Sherlock, would you like to say something?
Just that I guess I would have to look at the plan again, but I know that there is a plan to take the 3 homes that are on the north piece of the park that's just on the stage area on the eastern side of Delmore, if any of that makes sense. I'm not familiar with the houses on Central. I mean, I could look at it again, but if you're going by parcel numbers, then you could be absolutely right. But if they were individually the numbers, there was one that had all the parcel numbers listed. And if those parcels are listed, that would seem that the houses would be expected to go.
Not necessarily, but
No,
not necessarily at all, but
The motion is for the expansion of the economic zone. It's not for an expansion of any plan.
correct.
Okay, I'm sorry. So they might not take them
A
down.
large chunk of the borough is under a economic development area. So it doesn't mean that anything is happening.
Well, I guess we can talk later about that.
Tom Workman?
Hi, Tom Workman, 104 Green Street. I talked at the meeting that wasn't the meeting 2 weeks ago. All I wanted to do was to just once again say that I want to preserve the park. It's one of the reasons I bought my home here in town, is that we had this green space that I could take my son to, that we could play soccer, ride our bikes, go for walks, all that. I don't see any way in which the proposed structures that would go there would actually benefit the town. It would add additional strain to our police. It would add additional damage to our roads. It would add additional traffic. There was someone else who wanted to speak, but he came late. Could he finish my 3 minutes?
No, we're not allowed to share time.
Thank you.
But I will allow him to speak at the end. He did. Thank you. Don Rice? Did I? I didn't. Oh, sorry. Tim Pesci? Sorry. Tim.
Pesh, 129 Osborne Avenue. I just wanted to say tonight that I would ask you to adopt the resolution to amend the boundaries. There's no commitment that's going to be done. It's going to buy us more time. And I understand that everything is surrounding the park in terms of what's taking place with this and the implications that it may have. But as someone who, born across the river, but basically born and raised in the town, and has a business here, and has owned it personally for 40 years and has had it in the family much longer than that, to me, the implication is much larger than the park. It's Marsville. When I was young, I belonged to the pool that's no longer there. Came and played at the baseball games and used the restrooms that are no longer there, and the concession stands that are no longer there. I have a 13-year-old now, not of my loins, because her mom bought drugs and OD'd bought the drugs from the park. There's bigger implications. The economic condition of the borough, I think we need to look at it and say, yes, hey, I'm not under any agreement to sell my building at present. But as I look at it, the park is being expanded by 40%. Is it in the same spot? No. But we have an opportunity to have the park become better than what it is, to reverse the trend. When I went to Marsville High School, we had graduating classes, 120, 140. Now we got 4th through 12th grade there. When I went there, I could choose 3 different languages to take at school. Now there's 1. If we are looking at the trends, the trend is not positive. We need something to change it. Whether it's this project, whether it's, select Marsville, whatever, I'd like to hear what's going to help improve the town, not the negatives. I'll listen to the engineers in terms of boring samples if we're worried about what's underneath the river. And I'll suffer through moving a business that's been there for 40 years if I think it's best for the town, because I'll still be living here. My parents will still be living here. I just wish the town could offer more so that my kids would still be living here. And unfortunately, we don't, and they're not. And I'm not alone in that. So please consider the resolution so that we can continue to perhaps shape what it is that we'd like to see happen with the town beyond just
3 minutes.
the park. Thank you.
Don Rice. Name and address, and you have 3 minutes.
Don Rice, 343 Crown Street. If you didn't know the answer to her question, how can you possibly be voting on this amendment? The motion is a resolution of the Borough of Morrisville amending the boundary of the Morrisville Borough Certified Redevelopment Area, and you don't know where the boundary is. If you haven't made that map available to the public for our review, it would be irresponsible and illegal to pass such a motion. This motion is an attempt to have the RDA declare the park blighted so it can be turned over to Select Morrisville for development. They made that clear in their draft report, which you had in your September packets. The draft report says what they're going to do after they get the property, after you pass this motion, and they're going to turn it over to McGrath, the short version of it. The strategy will not work. The borough cannot let anyone take over the park because it belongs to the residents of Morrisville and will continue to do so in perpetuity. An anecdote of why this strategy is fatally flawed. In 2009, Fox Chase Cancer Center reached an agreement with Philadelphia to lease 19.4 acres of Burl Home Park in Philadelphia for development. A neighborhood group stopped this development with the with the assistance of their lawyer, Sam Stratton, our lawyer also. After Mr. Stratton argued against the leasing of a donated Philadelphia park to Fox Chase, an arrangement that would have provided needed income to the city, the Commonwealth Court decided parkland could not be taken for this purpose. Commonwealth Court Judge Renee Cohn-Jubilier wrote, "The Donated or Dedicated Property Act," and I quote, "focuses on whether the original use has ceased to serve the public interest and does not allow for the balancing of benefits. If it did permit such balancing, every donated park in the Commonwealth would be at risk of being leased so that cash-strapped municipalities could balance their budgets. The park is not to be used to improve the income in the borough. The park is ours. You cannot take it, and we won't let you. You may not consider development of Williamson Park for borough income. This is legally indefensible and will only cost you money trying to defend it. You have been served. Orphans Court is the first stop. We are in this for the long haul. Sam has won 2 cases at the state Supreme Court. Case law is clear, and Sam helped establish it. Please, we know borough resources are limited. Do not waste them on defending the grass pipe dream and save Williamson Park.
Yes, go ahead.
Just a quick point of order, because there are a lot of people that typically don't show up to meetings. I see a lot of new faces here. Just so you know, public comment is just that. It's the public commenting. If you're waiting for questions to be answered, you may get them during the actual meeting, but this is not a question and answer period. So if you feel that we're in some way snubbing you, we're not. This is the protocol. It's public comment, not a discussion with council, just to be clear.
Thank you, sir. Mary Horrenda. Name and address, and then you have 3 minutes.
Hi, Mary Horrenda, 343 Crown. Okay, I want to clarify something. You say that you're just expanding the redevelopment area. The head of Planning Commission called that lines on a map. You can't talk about anything but lines on a map, which was wrong. Lines on a map have consequences in the real world. The line on the map between Pennsylvania and New Jersey is why we have so many smoke shops in this town, and probably because we failed to regulate them in the beginning and let them proliferate everywhere. But that is the result of a line on a map. The line on a map of the redevelopment area has consequences. It means, I will go on to explain. Council should not expand Morrisville's redevelopment area to include Williamson Park. To do so would be illegal under Pennsylvania's Donated or Dedicated Properties Act and current case law. Under this law, property that has been donated or dedicated for public use belongs to the public and not to the local government. Morrisville Borough's government holds Williamson Park in trust for the public and must protect and maintain it for the public's use. The borough may not change its use from that of a public park without obtaining a judgment from the courts that its use is no longer practical or possible and does not serve the public interest. Williamson Park is regularly used for recreation, sports, and family and community events, so this is not the case. Making the part of the redevelopment area would make it available to the Bucks County Redevelopment Authority, or RDA, to bring in a developer, Joe McGrath, or anyone else, to take away our beloved community park and convert it to commercial and or residential use. The borough and borough council members have been served with a lawsuit enjoining them from doing anything to take the park away from the residents of Morrisville. Including the park in the redevelopment area would do just that. So now, it is up to the courts to decide whether we get to keep our beautiful open space by the river, our Williamson Park, or a developer gets to take it and build yet another shopping center and another apartment complex. I also wish to say that the report that some of you probably appear not to have read, that RDA made to recommend the expansion of the redevelopment area contains a lot of justifications for taking the park away that are transparently false. They are using...
3 minutes.
Okay, 3 minutes?
You're up, yes.
Okay. All right. Take a look at the report. And anybody else that is here, look on the Borough website.
Elizabeth Lester Abadella.
Hello, Elizabeth Lester Abdallah, 1328 Polar Run Drive. Before I get to my comment, I just wanted to throw out the question. I know you can't answer. Just throw out the question about the charge that's on the agenda for the solicitor's charge to McGrath, $395. I think that would be great to know, maybe more explanation if anyone cares to explain. I'd just like to comment about agenda item 8F, the call for the motion to adopt the expansion of the redevelopment area. While I know you can't speak to it now, I do think it would be great for the public to hear the council's thoughts on what this resolution and the subsequent amended boundary of the redevelopment area would be used for, or what you think, if you vote yes in passing the expansion, what that means to you. The report says that the park is blighted. I was wondering if you all think that the park in its entirety, all 44 acres of it, are blighted. Is this so that the RDA can take possession of the park through its powers of eminent domain, which it can do once it designates something as blighted, and then transfer the property to a private developer? Because without further explanation, that's what seems to happen with this expansion of the redevelopment area and Williamson Park included in that. I was also wondering why the vote on this agenda item was postponed from the October meeting, because the procedural issues that were raised at that meeting by a resident, when it doesn't seem like those procedural issues have been corrected. One resident raised the Urban Redevelopment Law, 35 Pennsylvania Statute 1710, which outlines the process for the preparation and adoption of a redevelopment proposal. The RDA report is the amendment to the redevelopment area boundary existing conditions report in accordance with the Pennsylvania Urban Redevelopment Law. That's what it says on the title. So 1710G requires that the governing body, upon receipt of the redevelopment proposal and the recommendation, if any, of the Planning Commission, shall hold a public hearing upon said proposal. Notice of the time, place, and purpose of such hearing shall be published at least once each week for 3 consecutive weeks in a newspaper of general circulation, with the time of the hearing to be at least 10 days from the last publication of notice. Notice describes the redevelopment area, lots of other details included in the notice. Has to include the maps, the plans, contracts, and you have to provide that data for public inspection for at least 10 days. At the hearing, the governing body shall afford an opportunity to all persons or agencies interested to be heard and shall receive, make known, and consider recommendations. So I was just wondering if there's been notice of that for 3 consecutive weeks. I don't think there have. I haven't seen anything in the Courier Times or anything. Does this constitute the public hearing upon this proposal? I know that you all postponed it in October, and it doesn't seem like any of those procedural issues were corrected. So I also just wanted to call attention to the fact that at the October meeting, there were 20 people that spoke in favor of keeping the park as park and 5 against. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Go ahead, sir.
So when it was postponed back in October, there were procedural questions, and there was things we went back to with the RDA about. The specific sections that were cited with regards to the advertisement, everything like that, in the 3 consecutive weeks, the public hearing, are related to an actual redevelopment proposal, not just expanding the boundary, but a plan to redevelop the area. We haven't reached that point yet. This is only expanding, would only be for expanding the redevelopment area, which doesn't fall under those sections.
Thank you. Deborah Colgan. Name and address in 3 minutes.
Deborah Colgan, 120 West Hendrickson Avenue. It's totally improper for council to consider the resolution for the expansion of the RDA redevelopment area to include Williamson Park for many, many reasons. First and foremost, a lawsuit has been filed that will ultimately be successful and protect Williamson Park. It is a disappointing path that residents have been forced to take. The most responsible thing that council can do is to just stop this as it is a waste of time and money to pursue. Public meetings regarding this expansion must present accurate and true information and allow the public to comment. At the borough's only public meeting, the Planning Commission and the RDA said that this report was requested by the Borough Council because of its 2020 resolution on the Select Marsville proposal. And then bizarrely, repeatedly insisted that the only thing under consideration was just a map and had no connection with the Select Marsville proposal. So the public was not allowed to speak on the impact that this action would have on Williamson Park or even mention Select Marsville. The report and the resolution under consideration was triggered by the council action, and it is directly related to Williamson Park and the Select Marsville. For public officials to declare otherwise is dishonest and just plain wrong. I don't understand why council hasn't had the RDA here to present the blight report. This action is not just a map. It has significant ramifications that are being swept under the rug. Why are the effects of passing this resolution being misrepresented? Why is this important action being presented and discussed? Why isn't this action being presented and discussed at televised and taped public meetings? Why is reality-based public participation being denied? Explain to us why this action is necessary for Williamson Park parcels and how it affects the council decision-making for Williamson Park property. Explain to us how this process is consistent with the requirements of the urban redevelopment law. The election this month was a clear referendum on the Williamson Park issue. We do not want our park turned into a commercial development. We supported candidates who believe in the future of Marsville, as we do, a unique community with history, character, and authenticity. We are not, as one candidate so offensively put it, a girl who doesn't know how beautiful she is until she gets a complete makeover. Listen to us. Either vote no on this item, or at least hold a real public meetings to explain exactly what this is, what it means, and the impacts that an increased RDA grip on Marsville will have.
3 minutes.
Better yet, just abandon this dumb idea and let's get on to some real productive work. Thank you.
Wayne O'Neill?
Hi, Pat.
Okay. Alan Franklin? Name and address in 3 minutes.
My name is Alan Franklin. I own a commercial building at 2 South Delmore Avenue, which is on the corner of Bridge Street and Delmore Avenue. I've been there 17 years, and I've been waiting for the town to come to life. People that want to open a business and come by, they look around, and most often they don't come back because there isn't enough to attract them. So I've heard the true democracy at work here tonight, where you hear people who have a passion and have an interest, which is to preserve things just the way they are. And then you have people like myself who want to see a prospering future for the borough. I'd really like to see it a very happening place, such as getting an amphitheater in this park. And I was reminded, I talked to somebody who must be dead by now, about 10 years ago, and he used to tell me that he used to go bass fishing in Williamson Park because it was a lake before they filled it in. And that would go back to the 1940s, 1950s. And there was also a hotel on the corner of Delmore Avenue and Bridge Street. And that eroded and went away in the 50s, so that was in the park. It faced Bridge Street, and it faced my building on the opposite side of the street. So what is really going on today? We have a developer who wants to come in and make the town over, if you want to call it that, or to bring it into a different realm as a positive step. I can tell you that when people drive down 29 and they would see a prospering development on this side of the river, they would say, what is going on in Morrisville? It is the true zip code of 19067, not the fake Yardley zip code of 19067. It is truly where it's all happened. It's been here for 250 years. It's a great town. It just has to take a look at itself differently, maybe from 10,000 feet rather than from standing on the ground. I've heard the passion, and I respect all the passion. I think everybody has a great view of what Marsville should be in their own minds. I hope that it is not the status quo. I want Williamson Park to be a great park. I really do. I want it to be an evening park, day park, really a family type of activity that also draws people inbound, something that you don't see. Here's what happens now in Marsville. You come over the Trenton Makes Bridge, and you keep going. There isn't much to stop on Delmore Avenue, unless you want tobacco or if you want good Chinese food in my building. There isn't much going on, and there is a reason for that. There's nothing there to attract people. And if you have a prospering town, you get people who want to open businesses, you get the best of the best. And that's what happens. That's what I want to say. So I hope everybody looks at this in a positive view. It's a long way off. It's not tomorrow. Lots of things have to be answered to satisfy everybody's interest. But in a democracy, most of the time, half the people are never happy. Hopefully the other half are happier, and that is for a good reason. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Elvis Gendy. Name and address, and then 3 minutes.
Elvis Gendy, 37 Park Avenue. Mostly I'm curious about all the ramifications for this proposed Williamson Park development. I certainly appreciate all the things about tradition. I've had family members who used to rave about going to the swim club, but that's changed, and I used to love playing baseball when I was young, and see the value in all the fields and so forth. But if, I guess my main concern, if this development could bring revenue to the borough and maybe tax relief for the citizens, I would probably be in favor. Also, I'm probably opposed to the earned income tax. I heard that got voted down, but if it comes up again, I wouldn't be in favor. So I guess that's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Patricia Schell, name and address, and then 3 minutes.
Patricia Schell, 62 Grandview. First of all, the attitude and the arrogance of this council, that you don't think that you have to answer the people. You're too lazy to have agenda meetings so that people know what's going on. So you just put it on an agenda and you think that you don't have to answer anybody. I really, really do love that attitude. First of all, I know other people have said that they wanted the people to speak on what would happen at Williamson Park. Well, the people did speak at the last election because everybody who was against the development won. Now, my next thing, and this is where I need answers. What's going on with the building on Hillcrest Avenue with the redevelopment authority? Who's going to make the profit? The redevelopment authority is needed for many, many things for many towns, and we can use them. I know that. But for one single property, we don't need the redevelopment authority. We could have sold it ourselves. I want to know who's making the profit, how much the redevelopment authority is getting, how much the borough's getting. Was it put out for bid? There's many, many questions, and I am sick and tired because I know of all the backroom deals that were made between the previous administrator, the previous council, and still some sit up on that council with the redevelopment authority. The backroom deals have to stop now.
That's such nonsense.
Great. Catherine Penzita, name and address, and in 3 minutes.
Catherine Panzita, Hillcrest Avenue. Catherine Panzita, Hillcrest Avenue. For 8F, this Morrisville Certified Redevelopment, I'll talk about those boundaries. I'm going to say it at every single meeting I want. The parcels that are listed that belong to Williamson Park removed. If they're not blighted, then there's no reason that they have to be in a certified redevelopment area, unless there's an ulterior motive. So I'll say it again. I said it at planning. On 8G, how do we just sell Hillcrest Avenue to Habitat for Humanity? Where'd that come from? We just sell whatever we want. Where was it discussed? Was it open for other people to offer? Because I would think that we just think there's one developer looking at Marsville, but if we told them, hey, we got green space here that we want to sell, maybe we might get some other people that would be interested too. I can see your curbs, 8I, near and dear to my heart. I don't know, what budget are you going for, A or B? I think it's totally, I'm sorry I couldn't make the last meeting, but my dog was sick. I listened to your meeting about the budget, and I just listened and counted every time your borough manager said, she was uncomfortable with that. So you can cut whatever you want out of that budget. You needed an EIT. Everybody sat there with the old borough manager in 2019. He told them you were going to need an EIT. You've gone through your assets and let people turn that money in and spend it. So when you talked about your cash flow, that's a pretty good idea too, because you look, you're outflowing a lot more cash than you had, and you even went against your assets. Now you're stuck where you're at. You have a guy out there that needs a $38,000 piece of equipment because you don't have people working for him, and you don't even have that money to buy it. You have no money for a rainy day. I think it is totally irresponsible for any of you not to have put an EIT. Your developer was not going to save this town this year or probably for the next 3 years. So that wasn't the answer to come in the white horse on the night on the white horse, come in and save the town. Development is not. And you're also giving out your park. And I would say to the one gentleman over there who says, you got to have a plan. It is a plan. Maybe they won't tell you. It's called a comprehensive plan. You do it almost every 10 years. And the funny part is, if you read the ones Marsville said, somehow they like green space. Somehow they like the park. I am the farthest thing from a tree hugger. I want every tree on my yard cut down. But I tell you what I do want to do. Even if I don't go to the park, I want to drive by the park and I want to see those green trees. I want to see those children playing in it. And I don't care if people are going to complain that they see more New Jersey tags over here. Isn't it funny? It was 3 churches from Jersey that gave us that park.
Mr. Pesci, you said you wanted to speak? Name and address and then 3 minutes.
Well, my name is Mike Pesci. I own 20 North Pennsylvania Avenue in Morrisville, best known as the Bucks County Contribution Ship building next to Wells Fargo, now the vacant Wells Fargo, I should add. I came to this community in 2008. I rented the second floor of the Kakazi building and founded a company named Weveal LLC, Centos Brands as a startup. The location, we picked Morrisville because it was ideal for employees traveling from the University of Philadelphia, New Jersey, and the surrounding areas. By 2014, we grew our Morrisville-based business to 36 employees and were recognized by Inc. 500 as the 27 fastest privately held companies in America, and actually #1 in Pennsylvania. Since 2009, I passed my building on 20 North Pennsylvania Avenue and recognized the history in town. As a contribution to town, I thought it would be my duty and active in the local community to purchase the building. I purchased one of the more historic buildings in town, even though it was not occupied for 5 years. It sat vacant and fell into a point that I could actually afford it in 2015 with my own money. Despite the fact that the repairs to the building cost 2.5 times the purchase price, I invested my life savings to restore the building downtown within the smallest detail, Trenton tiles, plaster ceilings, to preserve the history in town in Morrisville. I put my money where my mouth is, and I contribute over $25,000 a year in taxes every year since. I did so against the advice of all my local business associates who told me that long stories of longtime council members, some still on this very board, that ushered in blighted surrounding buildings, pawn shops, tobacco stores, tattoo parlors, and cash for gold, fireworks stores, and everything else. They let this historic Stockholm building sit in disrepair, but I did it anyway because I thought it was the right thing to do. With few exceptions on the EDC, I was assisted with parking, but no members of the board ever visited my business at that time when we were #1 fastest growing company in the state of Pennsylvania. a business whose products has sold tens of millions of products all around to Target, Walmart, 55 countries around the world. Every single one that carries the Morrisville address on the name, on the product. When I sold my business in 2018, one of the conditions would be that I left the building would be remain in Morrisville until 2026 to allow the, I thought for sure by then the board would open up to, or council would open up to a place that would allow the world that change around it, just like it did the rubber plants, and come to the senses of maybe making some progress in town. The fact that I renovated a landmark building and invested my life savings in town does not give me the right to separate my building or parcel from the greater downtown community for the sake of avoiding a redevelopment designation. My building with over $1 million put into it is in the redevelopment zone, and I have no problem with that because it is part of the greater community, and the greater community stands together to making sure that this should be fixed. I hate to be the one to inform everyone here, but the park is blighted. It requires investment. At minimum, the park should serve the entire community. Just like my building, which was an old stone building here, left to fall apart from the inside, I should have been offended by that my building is in the RDA development zone, or should I focus on the politics of rounding up everywhere in here so I could stop any potential progress in town? I stand by the people. Basically, I just want to say that there should be no reason why the RDA should not be continued into the park and in the surrounding downtown area in Morrisville.
Thank you. Joshua? Name and address and then 3 minutes.
Yeah, actually, real quick before I do, because several of us were locked outside at 7 and we couldn't get in, which is why I was late to begin with and sign up. I wanted to know if I could, maybe ask if we could have hands shown if there was anybody else other than me who was waiting outside who wanted to speak. Would that be okay? Anybody? Okay. Would that be okay if they spoke too?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Thanks. Anyway, my name is Joshua Kuntz. I live over there at 40 Union Street. I was originally just going to come in and kind of show up for practice. I wasn't going to say anything, but that changed because I was rude accidentally and trying to figure out what was going on with the locked door stuff and seeing where the sign-in thing was. But then people started speaking, so I started thinking, and I am going to speak as well, which I probably shouldn't. I was reading Reddit. What a great source of information that is. And a really depressing thing happened. I saw somebody from Russia talking on the anti-work subreddit about how, man, American workers have it worse than them in Russia, which is hilarious and depressing. I bring this up because I think that there's a context that we need to keep in mind in the States and in Morrisville. The issue between saving the park and having this idea of economic prosperity, I think, is kind of a misframing of the actual dynamic. We're not people of power. Nobody here is somebody of power. We live in an oligarchy. We could say a pseudo-oligarchy if we wanted to, with extreme corporate interests, which is the driving force behind economics in America. We don't own Coca-Cola, right? McDonald's is not housed here. There's no iPhone manufacturers here, right? So we don't have power. Building a services thing for residents and restaurants, that's not going to make us the centerfold of some corner of the economic market. So intrinsically, any sort of eyes in the sky, dollars in the eyes thinking about this is going to be fundamentally inaccurate in the context of contemporary American civilization. But we are trying to defend the stopping of something that is immoral, which is the destruction of more land. And so it is sadly kind of a thing where it's like, we are people who are starving and depressed and overworked and underappreciated, talking to people who are similarly so in positions of power, kind of, but not in America. No offense to you guys, but none of you are going on talk shows onto CNN or something like that. I don't know what constitutes being a celebrity. But so obviously I have nothing but empathy for the position that you're in, because you're kind of the straw that people are grasping for to try to make change in what is ultimately the cesspool of economic extrapolation and exploitation of most of us. So it is a difficult thing. I'm sorry that you are having to try to keep us alive and making these decisions. And the thing that is being pitted against that idea of prosperity and sustainability is destruction. destruction of something that is sacred and destruction that on a human level we all instinctively know should not be destroyed. And so I am sorry for that. I do, and I've lived much of my life trying to do what ultimately is not best for my status in society, but is best for ideally my soul or something like that. I don't know. Anyway, thank you guys.
Thank you. I saw 3 hands. Can you raise them again? Who else wants to speak? You can go first. And then you can go after her.
My name is Echo, ECCO, Savoy Debnam. My address is 220 West Palmer.
Okay.
I just moved here a year ago. I'm just finding out about the SWP sign, so I was asking around what they meant. My question in listening to everyone is, I'm an empty nester. We have 3 grown children, but we're empty nesters here. As a shareholder in the city of Morrisville, which we all are part of, so we do have power. We do. Really do. We use it. My question is that the only piece of development that's here? Were there more pieces that was put in? Did the community know anything about this? These are my questions. Then having something built such as what I'm looking at now, what happens to the bridges and the crossings with all the traffic? I came into Pennsylvania. I'm from New Jersey, but I'm coming into Pennsylvania.
This woman needs to know that is not the project.
Oh, okay. Everything is new to me, so I just found out about all of this, and I'm really surprised. Were other bids put on the table regarding what other kind of spaces could have been used and not as massive, where a smaller amount of space could be used? Were bids offered to the community to say, I'm listening to some of the people that were speaking that have businesses that could come in and be part of and associate their businesses with what's going on in Marsville? They said that they're having a failing school system. Why isn't all of this being part of things that can change the whole community so that you benefit, but so do the people on this side of the phone, connect all the pieces so that everybody benefits some kind of way? Why is there so much of the park being taken away? Why is so much being taken away for taxes? And if it's illegal, why is it even being discussed? I'm brand new here. I just moved here. I came here because I moved from New York. My husband still works in New York City. So we moved here for a nicer, quieter bedroom community and not for more. I moved away from New York to be able to come to a quieter place. But I think that we should all be included in this because your decisions will be better listening to these ears. We're part of what you are. We should be a team working together. So that's my thought. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. No.
Good evening. Karen Kane, 42 Union Street. I have been a resident of this quaint river town of Marsville for 48 years. Came here as a bride, moving into a starter home, which eventually became my forever home. Strategically placed in walking distance for all our needs, from a drugstore steps away to other amenities, and in proximity to all major crossroads like I-95 and 295 and cities New York to Maine. I have served on several committees, 13 years on Historic Somerset, 12 years on the Economic Development, and 13 years on the Environmental Advisory Committee. I am a self-employed businesswoman and parent to 2 grown children educated in the Morrisville schools. Tonight, you, our elected and appointed representatives, will be voting on a very important issue of redevelopment to proceed. You will be making a decision based on a promise of a brighter future and a major overhaul of our town. You were all selected and chosen to make a monumental decision that would affect not only us, the residents, but our children and our grandchildren, our future. I really want you all to think about this further. The litigants in this lawsuit and their lawyer have done their homework. This is called due diligence. I'm asking it, council do the same. In talking to knowledgeable people in the construction business, some startling facts came to the forefront. This huge project will not take 1, but 2 to 3 years, tying up the borough's major roads. Not to mention approximately 100,000 tons of fill will be shipped in. Where's this dirt coming from? Truck after truck on our roads. Imagine this, when all our streets are backed up from a car accident, construction in town, now all the traffic will be diverted through our quaint little river town. I've seen this firsthand. All of our infrastructure will be under tremendous wear and tear. Delmore is not built to be under this, heavy traffic. Many existing homes are built extremely close to the road. Some of them come out of their door and they're right there on the sidewalk. I believe it was a former mayor, Mr. Wisnowski, who reminded us that we have always said no. Well, in the 80s, the Bridge Commission wanted to demolish the Calhoun Street Bridge and put in a 4-lane highway, which would be Trenton Road. Many of our citizens turned up in the high school auditorium in protest. It was at full capacity. We said no. In 2008, the Morrisville School Board proposed a K-12 new school costing $30 to $40 million. We all know even though a brand new school would be appealing, we would have a significant higher tax bill. Both projects have been not only cost prohibitive, but would have impacted us negatively on our lives in unforeseen ways. In closing, when you leave here tonight, I want you to look up the hill. Look at our highest building in town is the Presbyterian Towers, consisting of 99 residents. Now, keeping that in mind, imagine a building or buildings 5 times bigger, 562 condos, and also potentially 2 vehicles for each condo.
3 minutes.
Okay, 3 minutes?
You're up, yeah.
Oh, can I just 1 second?
Okay,
I'm sorry. A comment on Facebook I saw was, this is Morrisville's last chance at the brass ring. Well, I say Morrisville was presented with the Trojan horse. Look past all that glitter and hype. What will this truly cost us all? Don't let this be your legacy. Vote no. Thank you.
Thank you. There was someone in the back who wanted to speak. Yeah, 1 second. Did you still want to speak? No? Okay. Over here. Which one? Go ahead.
Mike Barkin, 751 Gordon Drive, Lower Makefield Township. You'll be relieved to know that I'm not going to talk directly about the park. What I do want to talk about is the bigger picture, the underlying bigger picture, which is financial. It all comes back to the dollar, okay? And I understand and appreciate the fact that whoever did it, or it doesn't really matter at this point, the borough is in a financial distress right now. I get it, okay? But I was watching the news tonight, and one thing that, the Borough Council wants is a lifeline. That's the way they see the park, as a lifeline, okay? But I realized after watching the news tonight, there's another lifeline out there with a lot of money attached to it. $1.4 trillion was released today by the federal government for councils, for representatives, for senators to request the money. For things like improving a water plant, for things like improving roads or infrastructure, things that could relieve the Borough Council of some of their financial obligations. All that has to be done is you have to kick the can up to request the money now before it's gone. Steve Buttigieg's Secretary of Transportation said whatever he is, I don't even know. But he said basically they're taking applications for it. Why is the borough not pursuing all options to obtain other finances? That's what I want to know. Why is this the only solution? Okay, that's a rhetorical question, but there's $1.4 trillion, which is hundreds of millions of dollars that could be dedicated to the state of Pennsylvania and its municipalities. You just have to ask for it. Thank you.
Name and address and in 3 minutes.
Jim O'Brien, 1000 University Drive, Yardley, Pennsylvania, the president of Morrisville Little League. First, I want to thank council for hearing me tonight. Appreciate taking the time. Let's take this out. I am here to ask for you to vote no on motion 8F, the amendment to the certified RDA. Before I get to that, though, I do want to mention a couple of recent events to share with you. First, Morrisville Little League completed our park cleanup, our part of our winterization process, a week and a half ago. Had a really great turnout, 70 volunteers, all came down, really helped clean up the park, and we're going to continue to do that probably later this month once the leaves all fall down. Second, this coming Thursday, we're hosting our Night of Champions award dinner. We're celebrating 5 district championships, which is really unheard of in this area. All of our baseball teams won their qualified districts and had a very, very successful year. If you're, thank you. Thank you to the kids on their behalf. If any of you are interested and you'd like to see what Morrisville Little League is as far as part of the community, I'd welcome any and all of you who'd like to participate in that event. It's being held at the Elks Lodge Thursday night at 7 o'clock, so please consider that an invitation. Thirdly, we're very excited to be participating in the Morrisville Winterfest parade that's coming up this Saturday. We have lots of kids that come out looking to throw candy to folks that are out in the parade route, and thank you for allowing us to participate in that. Morrisville Little League is a big part of this community, and we hope to be so for many, many years ahead. As it relates to the issue at hand, motion 8F, I came here last time at the meeting to speak on why I felt like this proposal was really it's a lie of a mission. 44 acres of proposed expansion of the RDA's area, of which 15 exhibits show less than 2 acres, all taken from the roadside. The blight that was basically claimed in the park, it's not representative of the park. It's representative of the side of the road along the park. That's less than 5%. So I do ask you again to say no to that. Lastly, a year ago I came to council and I listened in as you guys voted unanimously to proceed with listening to the development, the proposal from Joe McGrath. And I didn't like the outcome, right? Morrisville Little League didn't like the outcome because it opened the door to more possibility of the park being developed. But I understood the logic. The logic from talking with council folks and listening in the community, we need to learn more. We need to learn more to understand what this option would give to us. This is not, the vote before you tonight, the same thing. This is not something that needs to happen for the council to learn more, for the community to learn more about this development. I don't believe, and I could be wrong, but I don't believe council has been given answers to the questions, the very legitimate questions that you all have raised to the developer about what the tax revenue would be that would be developing, what the cost of the infrastructure change that would need to happen. Those answers are not predicated on a vote yes tonight. You can vote no, you can get those answers. Anyway, thank you very much. I appreciate the time.
Thank you. All right, and that will close out public comment. We're going to move on to 5, which is approval of the minutes. 5A, approval of the minutes of the Borough Council regular meeting of Monday, October 18th, 2021. Can I have a motion?
Mr. Parker, could we do these in block? 5A to 5E, unless there are exchanges or changes?
Are there any changes on?
I have no problem with it.
All right, so we're going to group. Can we do that?
Yes, you can group them together.
So we're going to group together 5A, 5B, 5C, 5D, and 5E, which is all, one is a regular meeting of October 18th, 2021. The other one is the special meeting of Tuesday, October 19th, 2021. The next one is a special meeting of Monday, October 25th, 2021. The next one is a special meeting of Tuesday, October 26, 2021. And the last one is a special meeting of Thursday, November 4th, 2021.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes. Minutes are approved. 6, Finance, Treasurer's Report. Everybody got that? 6B is a call for a motion to approve the bill list.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion?
I just like for the, oh, I'm sorry. I said yes. Yes. Just a comment regarding the McGrath bill, which is Select Marsville. They have a
Escrow.
wrote it down. Thank you, escrow. Yes, they have an escrow, so that's where the bill will be sent to. We'll be reimbursed.
So in other words, if they have a question that our solicitor or someone else needs to answer or has to answer or should answer, the borough doesn't pay for that. It comes out of their escrow.
Justin.
Any other discussion? All right, roll call, please.
Yes.
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 Yes. The motion passes. Moving on to report, 7A, Mayor's report. Mayor's not here. Moving on to Police Chief's report.
My report's going to be very short, and I'm sorry to talk about the budget, but we have to. Looking back at the 2016 budget, $1.95 million. Looking at the 2022 budget, $1.96 million. My budget has been taken down so badly. Thing I asked every year, what's our plan for next year now? Now that you've taken everything out of this budget, what's our plan going into next year? Where are we going to be this time next year? What's there left to take? We have to come up with ideas. Ms. Lally, you're the one that really was very vocal about taking so much money out of my budget. Do you have a plan going into 22 and the 23? Where do we go?
I'm sorry, is this your police chief report?
Yes, ma'am. That's what it is. I have to fight for the police department. I have to fight for the citizens. Our department is being depleted financially, and I'm not happy. So if you don't want to answer your question, I'm fine with that, man. Thank you. But the 2016 budget, I still have, and that's where we're going back to, the 2016 budget. I don't know how we did that. So, thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Manager's report.
Are there any questions from council?
I just have a quick one. Can you provide an update on the couple projects that were slated to start or be underway right now? And the library roof, the road program, and the water and the basin?
Yes. The library project, that is the roof, which we have CDBG grant funds and Keystone grant funds for. That is slated to begin this week. The materials were being delivered, so we're happy to say that hopefully within the next several weeks, we should have a brand new slate roof on the library, and it was all accomplished by grant funding. The road program this year will be postponed until next year. And I'm sorry, the other project you asked about?
The Melvin Avenue Basin.
And the Melvin Basin will also be postponed until next year due to supplies, that being able to get the supplies and so forth.
Okay, thank you.
They, the Melvin Basin will be hopefully immediately, as soon as we can in the new year, we'll be working on that.
Thanks.
Welcome.
Okay. Does anyone have a committee report? I don't believe anybody met last month. All right, we're going to move on to action items. 8A is a call for a motion to approve the Borough 2022 holiday schedule.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Discussion.
Justin, Nancy.
Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion passes. Call for a motion, 8B, a call for a motion to approve the Borough 2022 meeting schedule with the reorganization meeting listed.
So moved.
Second. Either one of us, doesn't matter.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion?
Mr. President, I just have a comment on that. It's not going to affect me because I won't be here next year, but I did see that you're moving the regular meetings to Tuesday nights on the third week. Just curious if there was any consultations with the newly incoming elected officials to make sure that they're okay with it.
Don't believe there has been, but there's still time. So.
Well, I mean, we voted down the meeting on Tuesdays, so I don't know why that would be put in the meeting schedule without a conversation with council.
I was with the understanding that it was voted down last year, but we were supposed to reintroduce it for January 2022.
So this is your discussion. If you want to
I
change
guess
it now,
so,
put it out
right?
there.
Right.
Well, I would rather, I mean, I don't. I'm fine with Tuesdays.
My only other comment is I have no issues with it, but if it's not pressing, maybe we could table it till next month. That way the incoming people can have their say too.
We could not let it go till next month because our meeting is December 20th.
Okay, so
and
the
we would-
advertising requirement.
The advertising requirements would not be met. So that's why we did put it on now.
Just as a point of order, Justin, if it becomes a problem, council can change it. It's not.
Just costs money to re-advertise.
Yeah, like $50. Yeah.
And I know there was some comments regarding the committees and so forth and those meeting dates. I had looked back and we had always, from what I'm seeing, advertised them now, and that if new committee members were to need to change it, we would have to make some changes in the new year. Unfortunately, in a reorganization year, sometimes that has to be accomplished.
Mm-hmm.
But in order to have any meetings in January,
You have to
we would need
advertise.
to vote on this evening.
I'm fine with it.
All right. Any other comments?
I wonder if we're going to switch to meetings, can we throw a Thursday out there? Consider Thursdays.
I thought there was too much conflict with Thursdays, from my understanding.
Yes, if we were
It would
to
push
have,
us to the end of the month too.
we would not be able to accomplish the duties that we would need on Friday alone. We certainly need more time during the week. And then there's Saturday and Sunday that things would be let go until Monday. So Thursday, staff-wise, would not work.
Well, there's other places that do it on Thursdays. Work out fine for them.
Anyone else? Like it's been mentioned before, I mean, this can be discussed once we have the new council members seated.
No disrespect to anybody else in the borough at all. I don't want to sound disrespectful saying this, but we're the council, and like if we're going to be nudged away to another night because of another meeting, or like if again, I don't want to be disrespectful, but isn't our meeting the most important one? And we're going to have oh no, you can't have your meeting on Thursday because we're having one. The whatever. And again, not disrespectful, but we're being pushed like wet newspaper. Yeah, you're going to have it that night because everybody else is going to do it tonight.
Mr. Park, I'm sorry. Were they the conflicts? I didn't think the conflicts was other meetings. I think there were other meetings in personal lives too.
There was scheduling issues, yes, with the solicitor and everything else, so. Again, we can revisit it in January. If the new council is amicable to it, we can change it to another date, but we need to advertise.
Can we just vote on this, yes or no? Please.
Any other discussion? All right. Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. 8C, a call for a motion to approve the Public Library 2022 holiday schedule.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Discussion. All right, hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. 8D, a call for a motion to approve the Public Library 2022 meeting schedule.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. All right, hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. 8E, call for a motion to adopt an ordinance amending the Borough of Marsville Animals Ordinance, specifically prohibiting owning roosters within the limits of the Borough of Marsville. Can I have a
Moved.
second? Motion.
Nancy.
Discussion.
I just want to verify, this will make people get rid of their current roosters. It's not for future roosters?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, I had a lot of people contact me to complain about this ordinance. So I have a problem with making people get rid of a rooster. Can I clarify what Helen just asked? She said it's not for future roosters. It is. It's prohibiting.
It's current.
Current too,
It's
right?
both current
both.
and future, yes.
She was asking if they'd be
Oh.
grandfathered, and the answer is no.
Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Bowers.
No.
No.
Paul.
Yes.
Robinson. No. Hager.
No.
I'm sorry, Mr. Alive.
Yes.
Hager.
No. Yes. That's correct.
Parker.
Yes. Motion fails. All right, 8F is a call for a motion to adopt a resolution of the Borough of Morrisville amending the boundaries of the Morrisville Borough Certified Redevelopment Area. Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Discussion.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to table this resolution.
All right, we have a
So
motion.
the new council is seated in January, since, as was pointed out earlier, this was a major issue throughout the election campaign, and I think that going forward, the new council should make the final determination.
All right, we have a motion to table.
Right.
That's first. So,
Don't you need a second? I'll second
sorry,
that.
you need a second.
Yes.
Go ahead. Sorry. You have a second? You're seconding it?
Yes, I am.
Okay, we have a motion to table and a second. So,
No discussion, just
yep,
has to vote.
just right to vote. Can I have a roll call, please?
Bowers.
No.
I'm sorry, noted.
No,
No
not to
tabling.
table.
Just
No,
to table.
not to, yeah, no to tabling it.
Need a second to draw up a new table?
Ms. Alive.
No.
Paul.
Yes.
Robinson. No. Mr. Alive.
Yes.
Hager.
No.
Parker.
No. Okay, motion to table fails. So then we go on to the motion. 8F, it's a call for a motion to adopt the resolution of the Borough of Marsville amending the boundaries of the Marsville Borough Certified Redevelopment Area.
I believe we already had a motion and second.
Okay.
So back to discussion.
Yep, we're back to discussion.
Mr. Alive.
Mr.
No.
Yeager made the second.
Jaeger,
Yes.
discussion.
If I may, Mr. President.
Go ahead, sir.
So I'm going to say this as succinctly as I can. I am not running for any other positions. I am not running for re-election for Morrisville Borough. 100% of what I'm about to say is because I 100% believe it. I am not saying it to gain favor with voters or any other reasons. I have been personally accused of getting some kind of benefit out of this potential development that we keep hearing about. Other than my belief that it's going to be good for the town, that's the only benefit to me. 100% the only benefit to me. There are tons of conspiracy theories. You heard some of them up here at this microphone tonight. I shook my head at some of them. They're conspiracy theories, folks. That's what they are. I was asked recently what my involvement was by a resident not too long ago as far as the development's concerned. My answer was, I got the information after most of the residents did. You know why? Because the person that's looking to develop the area wanted to talk to all the other businesses and property owners in that area before they came to council, because they wanted to make sure it was viable. So a lot of the people in town knew before I even did, and I was sitting up here at the time. So the conspiracy theories that there's some kind of major backroom discussions, nonsense. What I truly believe is this town needs a spark. You have a problem with the Stockham building? Yes, I've been working on the Stockham building for 4 years as part of the Blighted Properties Committee chair. It's moving very slowly, but there's been activity. These things don't move quickly. There's a lot of parties involved. There's a lot of things that need to happen to take property, right? Property isn't something that the government just walks over and says, that's mine, go away. There are a lot of levels to go through. There's a lot of approvals. There's a lot of eyes on it. It doesn't just happen in a day. It doesn't work that way, guys. The park has areas that are clearly blighted. The EDC has those two structures at the end of right by the bridge. And they're blighted. There's no doubt they're blighted. There's a deck on the one building that has tabletops covering holes in it that somebody could just fall through. I had to go to the EDC years ago because there was windows broken out of that building, and there was a homeless person living inside. It's blighted, and it wasn't being cared for. It's still not being cared for. It's sitting there, and it's rotting, and this is my time. I didn't interrupt you, ma'am. So again, I'm not saying this for any other reason that I think it's the best thing for this town. We need a spark, we need an anchor attraction, and we need a place that creates an environment that sparks development in our town, and I truly believe this is an opportunity that will not come twice. Does this changing of the boundaries mean the park is gone? Absolutely not. There are 5,000 other things that need to take place before that could happen. Is this an indication that I'm interested in seeing what could happen in our town? Absolutely. If you're going to sit here and tell me that Morrisville Little League is more important than the rest of the town, I'm going to argue with you. And sir, you and I have spoken. I like you. You're a good guy. I don't dislike Morrisville Little League, but Morrisville Little League hasn't paid their fees in years. Meanwhile, we're raising taxes on our own residents. I have a problem with that. They haven't paid in years to an amount they agreed to in writing. Yet we're going to sit here and tell and make it okay for you guys to pay more every year and not charge that. That affects me personally. Not because it's financial, but because I care about my neighbors, and I don't think that's the right way to deal with it. So again, I'm not saying it because I want you to vote for me, because you're not going to have the opportunity to. Just know that I'm saying these things because I truly believe them. Thank you.
No. This is discussion during.
Mr. Parker?
Go ahead, ma'am.
Just a couple, I'll be very brief. This project will not bail us out. This is not the school will not change the school system. If this were to even generate, I don't know, maybe $1 million, maybe $2 million a year, and it won't right away either. The school budget is $21 million for 1,100 students. For that amount, they could be going to private school. And that's the issue. I've said it before, 76% of your taxes are going to the school district. The park is not the answer. The park is not portrayed to be as bad as someone had portrayed it earlier. Yes, there are some issues that we should fix. We were supposed to have a bathroom down by the one pavilion. That never happened. But the proposal, I'd like to correct someone who said the proposal about the townhomes or condos, there are apartments is what they're talking about, apartments, not home ownership, but apartments. And again, something else that was mentioned, there are no projections. There are no projections about what, what we might get out of it, whether, I mean, I've never heard a word about how much they may or may not pay for this. I think the thought is them putting that there is their payment to the town, and that's not good enough for me. And let's see, what else did I write here? I suppose that's it for now. I just, I understand Mike's passion and how he feels this is going to be the best for the town. And he's certainly entitled to his opinion, as we all are. I just can't see it. I don't see it as the panacea, and I cannot see, I also agree, once the green space is gone, it's gone. There's no bringing it back. So, thank you.
Mr. Parker?
Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, I just want to clarify something that Mr. Yeager said with respect to Little League. They have not paid for 2 years, but we're in negotiation. So technically, we haven't given them a bill that they've refused to pay. We're arguing over the amount. So it's correct, they haven't paid, but we're still negotiating. So I just want to make it clear that they haven't refused to pay. They aren't willing to pay the amount that we've discussed, and we'll discuss it further. But in any case, Little League doesn't get to dictate to us how we use the park, and I agree with that. I also want to just say that we can differ on opinion about the park, and I came into this office agnostic, as I told everybody when I was canvassing, and I've gotten more and more pessimistic or negative about the possibilities. However, there's no reason for the public to accuse anybody up here or previous members of council of self-dealing, or that deals are being made behind the back or under the table, or that people are personally profiting. I resent that on behalf of everybody on council. This is a tough job. We get paid $2,000 a year to do it, and we come here, we try to do the best we can, and to accuse people just because you disagree with them, accuse them of fraud or embezzlement or something like that, I think is reprehensible, and I think that needs to be said, because I respect everybody up here, and I respect all of my predecessors and those that are going to be coming afterwards. And we need more people who are willing to serve, and making accusations like that is not going to make it any easier to recruit people for future councils and other positions. Now, with respect to the RDA map, however, I do want to say that I thought that the RDA's presentation at the Planning Commission last month was disingenuous at best, and really was I think misleading us, and trying to explain that the only reason they had the park in there was they needed to connect the contiguous areas of other blighted areas outside the park, which may or may not even be parcels that belong to the borough. But they were clearly using that as I thought, as an excuse to get the whole park deemed covered by the redevelopment map, which is just one more step toward development of the park. But voting on the map is not voting on the project, but to say that it has nothing to do with it is ridiculous. That's all.
Anyone else?
Mr. Parker, I have some comments.
Go ahead, sir.
Mr. Paul, thank you for saying those things about council and the accusations. I appreciate that. As for the matter of the certified redevelopment area, the reason it includes the park is because it's an area. It's not a redevelopment parcel plan. They don't pick and choose individual parcels. They make a map. I've been on the fence for this since the beginning of this project. First of all, I don't want to give up the park. Second of all, I know we need to have change in the borough. One of the concerns I've had, and the developer knows it because I said it, is with the green space. Whatever they take, I want a decent amount back, and their first proposal had that. Their second one, they didn't focus on it as much. I think it's still on the table. We're a far way away from actually seeing a final plan, or at least it's in the future. We can't know any of the information until they present a final plan. We approved a concept plan. A concept is a concept. This is another step to make that concept possible. It doesn't say that if we approve this, the RDA is going to take the property tomorrow or 6 months from now. It just keeps it as an option on the table. What it also does by including the park in the certified redevelopment area is, and Ms. Stanko, you can confirm this, is it will help us be eligible for more grants for the park should the development project not go through.
That is an accurate statement.
So on one hand, yes, if we approve this, it could be a step towards the development. On the other hand, if the development gets thrown out tomorrow, 6 months from now, it still leaves the park eligible for more grants and more money for the borough to ask for to improve it. So I look at this as a win-win situation. We can still keep talking to a developer, and if that falls through, we have a backup plan that we can use it for grants, or vice versa. If it gets canceled by the new council and they come in and say, absolutely no, we don't want to develop, it still leaves it open that they can find grants through this program in this area.
When everyone's spoken, Mr. Parker, I'd like to go back one more time, please.
And one more thing, a lot of people I've heard in comments over many months that once the parkland's gone, it's gone. It's not entirely true. We have Patriots Park. That wasn't a park 2 years ago or 3 years ago. It's still not a great park because we're still looking for grants to improve it. But as time goes on, things change. People can come in, buildings can be demolished, parks can be developed that way. If we get developers in here, it can be part of a plan in the future. If a developer wants to take a block, you got to provide a park. You got to take 2 blocks and give us a park. It's always a deal that can be worked out. So I don't agree fully that once a park is gone, it's gone, or once a green space is gone. There's always an opportunity to buy more and create it. Yes, it's more difficult and more unlikely, but it's still a possibility. I think that's enough for me for now. Thank you.
Is there anyone else?
I'm going to vote yes for this tonight, and I am not voting to bring a bulldozer into Williamson Park tomorrow to start construction. Okay, Justin already had said what I was going to say, that if nothing else, this could make us eligible for money that we otherwise wouldn't have had. As far as the state of the town, we do have a budget problem. We do have a problem, and I can't help but think that when I had 1 month left in the Marine Corps back in September of 1990, I had a high-ranking officer as I was going through my separation of my discharge. My 4 years was up for my honorable discharge. The officer told me to always surround yourself, if you can't surround yourself around, listen to people that are smarter and more successful to you in life. Always try to embrace people that are smarter than you. And I can't help but notice tonight that were several gentlemen that spoke, 3 of them, I believe, that are business owners that took a risk. These guys at one point in their lives, took a risk in one day, more risk-taking than I've taken my whole life, because I work for a company. I work for the man. Okay? I work for someone else. Someone else took a humongous risk, and I'm working for them. But we have three men in the room tonight that took a risk tonight to start a business. They're the ratables that we need. And again, I'm not voting to bulldoze the park tomorrow, but I think we should listen to our existing people in this town a little bit more, okay? Because this project could go through, and in 10 years, it could be a bomb. It could be the worst decision we ever made. We don't know that. In 10 years, if we don't do anything, where are we going to be? So again, I can't help but listen or paying attention to those 3 gentlemen that spoke tonight that are actual business owners that actually took a risk. They took a risk and it paid off. This project will be a huge risk. You miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. That's all I'm going to say. And again, I'm not voting to bring a bulldozer into the park tonight. I'm not doing that. Okay, there's probably people sitting in the office. I know there's people sitting in the audience that know a lot more about this project than I do right now. Like Councilman Yeager said, we're the last to know. They went to the residents. They went to the business people. So I'm just doing this with an open mind, and that's all I have tonight.
All right. Thank you. Nancy?
Yes, the one thing I did forget to mention, there's no one that can develop in that park unless we certify tonight. That's the bottom line. The only way for a developer, and at the time we'll use Select Marsville, could even think about this project is once we hand over the boundaries and expand them for the RDA. So to think that they're not connected, as Mr. Paul said, is really not truth. And with regards to grants, saying that we will get grants if we certify it, that's Plan B. That's after you've already opened the door for developers to come in. So another reason I can't be for this particular for the expansion. And I wanted to know if there's money for grants, why does it have to be certified in order to get the money? And maybe Mrs. Danko can answer that for me. And as far as Patriots Park goes, Patriots Park is 1/8 of what Williamson Park is. And to compare it, that's supposed to be a passive park. So being a passive park will be nothing like what we have down at Williamson. They're two entirely different animals. And I don't know where you said, I don't know where we'll take it from. Like you had said that, well, if we tear down a building and put a park in, what buildings would they be? I'm just curious. I'm sorry, that's it.
If I were a developer, I might have an idea, but if a developer comes in and wants to take a whole block, you tell them we won't agree to it unless you take two.
Then let them start with Bridge Street.
You're right. You're right. Put it somewhere else.
I've been waiting 13 years for them to start there, or 15 since I've been in the borough.
Yeah.
All right. Anybody else wants to speak before we put it to a vote?
To answer your question regarding the grants, if you are in a redevelopment area, there may be other grants available above and beyond what is normally available in an area that is not a redevelopment area. So that was really what was being said.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Roll call, please.
Yes.
Yes.
No.
No.
Yes.
No. Motion passes. 9G, call for a motion to approve the sale of 38 Hillcrest Avenue, Marsville, PA 19067 to Habitat for Humanity of Bucks County in the amount of $80,000. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Discussion?
Yes, in answer to a question that was asked this evening, the $80,000, is that our money, or does that cover some of RDA's expenses? What is that?
You want me to take this? Yeah, so the property is owned by the Redevelopment Authority currently. We have a redevelopment agreement where we work together, where in this case, where they're marketing the property for us and we're selling it to Habitat for Humanity. The $80,000 is the total sale price. From that $80,000, they will take their fees. Those fees aren't to exceed, I believe the number is $9,000. We don't have the exact number, but so the borough is looking at least $71,000.
And if I may, that includes the title work and the closing costs, correct?
Correct.
That $9,000, yes. Yeah. So it's not just their fees. They get a small percentage of that, but the RDA really doesn't make the money off of these sales. They just cover their own costs.
That's correct.
And also any fees that it costs to maintain the property, cutting grass, things like that.
Yep.
Thank you.
Any discussion?
Mr. Parker, I just have a couple comments. This process was started, I believe, in late 2019. So it's not something we're doing overnight. It's not being hidden. There's no hidden agenda. Council was informed that the property was in pretty bad shape. We had the option where council decided we could sell it and put it out to bid, or we could go through the RDA. Going out to bid and putting it out to auction gets the highest bid. It also gives council no control over what's built there. Somebody could come in, propose 4 houses stuck on a lot in the hill, and council would, if they got the right zoning ordinances, they could do it. With this, we went through the RDA because they had people that they go out to and they contact for proposals, and they came back to us with Habitat for Humanity, who wanted to put they originally wanted to put I think a twin on there, but because of the landscaping and the geography and being on a hill, it wasn't very good for them. So they came back with a single family house on that lot. So we're going to turn a lot that needed a lot of work done to the house. We're going to sell it and put it back on the tax rolls. Thanks.
Anyone else? All right, roll call.
Yes.
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 Yes. Motion passes. 8H, call for a motion to execute CDBG 2021 curb ramp grant agreement in the amount of $264,845.00. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay.
Motion and a second. Discussion. All right, hearing none. Roll call, please.
Yes.
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 Yes. Motion passes. 8L. It's discussion.
Aye.
Is it? Oh, it's a good thing I took my glasses off, too. 8I, discussion of two proposed preliminary budgets, option A and option B, for the 2022 fiscal year. Discussion.
I'd like to make a motion to accept option B.
Second.
A motion and a second. Discussion. So we have a motion to accept option B for the 2022 fiscal year. Roll call, please.
Yes.
Yes.
No.
No.
Yes.
No. Motion passes. All right, so that became 8J. So 8K is after discussion, call for a possible motion to pass a resolution of Borough Council of the Borough of Marsville authorizing the solicitor to petition the Bucks County Court of Common Pleas to allow the borough to levy a tax exceeding 30 mils in order to balance the general fund.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Discussion. Here. Discussion.
Mr. President, I just have a comment on this. Ms. Danko, you can probably give me the actual number, maybe you have it in hand. Last year's general fund was at 33.5 mils.
35, I think.
0.35. So this year we will be going to the county asking for 35, which is the maximum legal amount allowed by law.
That is correct. That is a
With
correct
court
statement.
permission. All right,
believe,
thank you.
I believe it was around a 4% increase from the prior year.
Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Yes.
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 No. Motion passes. 8L, which is a motion to suspend Officer Aspamani without pay for a period of 5 12-hour shifts to be administered by the Chief of Police on or before February 28th, 2022. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Discussion.
1 and 2.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Yes.
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 Robinson.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Motion passes. That's the end of the action items. We're moving on to 9, which is other business, and then 9A is acknowledgement of resignation letter of Michael Cooper. I have a motion.
So moved. Second.
Discussion?
I'd like to say thank you to Mr. Cooper for his years of service, which were, I don't know, could you tell me, it's probably close to 30.
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Cooper served in Public Works.
Yes, Mr. Cooper was worked for Public Works Department.
Thank you.
Anyone else? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. All right, 10, borough officials. Anybody wish to say anything?
I have one thing. I have been in contact with PennDOT regarding the traffic study that was requested over a year ago. They're in the process of concluding that study, but one of the things that they were able to let me know is that while the study is still underway, PennDOT has determined that they will be lowering the speed limit, and that speed limit is between Philadelphia Avenue and Post Road. They haven't decided what that new speed limit is, but I'm assuming that it'll be 25 miles an hour instead of the 30 it currently is. But with any luck, maybe it'll even be lower. They should be having that study out shortly, so as it is, I will share more information with everyone.
Thank you.
Want to make a quick one, if that's okay? So I've heard a lot of people say that there's no one thing that's gonna help this town. That's 100% correct. Development alone will not help this town. I mentioned in the past that we need to look to not only regionalize the schools, but look to regionalize our police department. I mentioned that this was something that was looked at quite some time ago. August 23rd, 2013, received by the borough August 30th, 2013. Ma'am, you said you didn't know about this. You were on council at the time, so I'm not sure. And it's also in box for you to read as well. But it's not a new idea. It's not a new thought. It's something that happened in central Bucks, and really something lower Bucks needs to take seriously and consider. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Mr. President, one comment. I believe on Saturday there was Winterfest. I don't have the details in front of me right now, but I know they are on the borough website and the TV station and the Facebook page for anyone interested.
They are.
It's the parade this year, but they're not going to the school, so it'll start. They can get a hold of Donna Wilson or the person that's sponsoring it, which is the Hot Rods, yes. And well, that's my next one when it's my turn.
Are you finished?
I'm unsure about where it's starting.
Post Road at the church.
But there's no events at the school.
Right, correct.
Yes. And if you wish to be in the parade, just show up at 9 o'clock down at Poston, Ohio. Summer Seat Remembers is December 4th from 11 to 1, which will be after the parade. They have the Christmas choral music, and that's when General George Washington arrives at 12 o'clock, depiction of. But I'd also like to mention on that particular day is when we'll be pulling the ticket for the portrait of the library that we've been selling raffles for. And also, I don't know, maybe the borough manager would like to speak to this. I'd just like to mention again, residents, please do not blow your leaves into the street. And then regarding leaf pickup, I know there was a little faux pas last week. I'm asking people to be patient with regards to the, the trash pickup. When they're out here and they're shorthanded or the truck is full, their main concern is to get the garbage out of the road. So garbage, and then they'll come back for the leaves. If that's something different, please let me know.
No, Ms. Sherlick, you're correct. It's a correct statement. We ask that the residents please be patient, that the sanitation will be picked up first and then the leaves second. If they have room, some roads may be picked up at the same time, sanitation and leaves. The other item of contention was the utilization of brown bags, the paper bags. This is an allowable item to use the paper brown bags. We will be working again to put something on the social media sites for the borough. Apparently, some residents had called Republic and they told them that brown paper bags were not acceptable. And we had contacted Republic to make sure that for Morrisville Borough, that is an incorrect statement and that they need to correct what they're stating. Some other municipalities are not allowing them, although Morrisville Borough is and Republic is picking that up. So we thank you for your patience. I have spoken to other managers in the area, and they're all experiencing sanitation issues, whether it's Republic or other companies at this time. They're having a hard time with finding employees and so forth. So again, we thank you for your patience, and our office staff has been diligently working with the sanitation company and the residents, along with our public works superintendent. We've all been working towards the best solutions that we can possibly find for Morrisville Borough. But thank you again for your patience.
Mr. Parker, one last comment, please. I just managed to review this letter. This letter was in August of 2013. It came from Mr. Vic Cicero, former police chief. This was during the time when we had an interim police chief, and things were really in an upheaval, and that gentleman sent out a scathing letter of what position our police department was in at the time. In fact, he only stayed, I think, 60, 90 days tops. And so it was at that time that I think Mr. Cicero thought that things were in peril, and that was his suggestion. He said, regretfully, I urge you to at least give serious consideration to the disturbing option. So, I mean, it never went any further than that, Mr. Yeager.
I'd like to correct you. That letter from the person came in September. So Vic Cicero's letter came in August.
There's two letters.
Okay. All right, well, thank you. I knew it was around that time.
And I also believe that there were some council people that were using the attorney. I don't have the bills, but I'm happy to come into the office and find them, that were talking to the attorney about regionalizing.
I don't know who they would be.
Currently?
No, back in 2013.
Why are we talking about 2013? Don't we have enough problems today?
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Yeah. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
We don't have enough